right, welcome, brothers. This is Mark and Dane in Armory Chat, and we are, we just found. I got to tell you, Dane is a brother. I'll let him introduce himself a little bit, but I just got to tell you, he and we're just kindred in this passion for men and all the stuff we want to do in the world and make a difference, and we'll get on the call just to have a 2-minute topic, and an hour later, we're just like, we should have recorded that. It was so cool, So
absolutely.
So I'm doing that today. How would you introduce yourself? What would you want to say to the brothers in the Armory?
I just want them to know that I'm just a regular guy, just like them. We both are, and I am from the Houston area. I work in technology, but I'm also a minister, and I also have an entrepreneur, and I'm trying to break into the book game. like my brother Mark, Yeah. But Mark he's right on point. We have been brothers through so many different things and so many different situations. We've had so many conversations that just are related that men need to hear. So that's who I am.
Yeah, and I got a copy of his draft of his book yesterday and started going through it and enjoying it. A very good writing style. It makes me think to myself, maybe I get more into some nonfiction. I really like that. The vivid imagery description that you put together was like, wow, I'm in, and it was interesting to me. So because I've always done nonfiction.
The books that I've gotten from Mark are just amazing. Mark is as an accomplished writer and author, and my brother's always putting it out there with the real talk, and he's not trying to pretend to be anything else but who he is and what he's had to deal with, and he's vulnerable with the challenges of his life, and I'd love to see him. Actually, we've talked about you doing a nonfiction a parody of the certain journeys maybe that you've had or you've dealt with other people, and then putting it out there in a fiction kind of way, in a storyline.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about what that was, because in my back of my mind, you triggered something that, yes, we had that conversation, and to me, I think it would be more of allegorical, like Pilgrim's Progress, or something that The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson was a good one, where it tells a fantasy story, or guys, if they've read, who's the guy who did all of those, the 7 Scrolls and the Og Mandino. And he did all of his are allegorical, fictional stories that then teach these principles in them that are really great. So I always thought about something like that. The real question comes down to these days of what's necessary. So like for men, it's like they're asking the question, is it necessary to get a college education? When if you could just study a bit and dive in and learn more by doing, and you look at like these Doge kids, right? Like 19 to 22 years old without a college education, and they're running the government's most sophisticated computer systems. It's like nerds on steroids, and you look at whether it was Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Michael Dell or even Elon Musk, they were all college dropouts because they started in college, but they were going like, this is taking too long. I got stuff to do. And they just dove in.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they just got it done. And so, ask the question, do you really need this or that to do what you need to do in the world? And I want to dive into, I guess, the first topic that comes to my mind, and I'm just fleshing this out with you, as we always do. The thing that's interesting to me is what are going to be the things that survive the AI insertion in the world.
Yeah.
And I say this because just this morning I read that Bezos, who evidently, I didn't know this, but according to this article, in his Amazon warehouses, right? He's got, maybe I'm off by a decimal point. Maybe it was 7,500 robots. I thought it said 75,000 robots, like in his warehouses, assembly things, shipping, and boom, 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 and getting out like this. And he just, evidently, the news article was about how he just went through a raise, and I forget the number. I think it was 55 billion, and if that was off by a decimal point, I'd be really scared. But I think it was 55 billion he was raising to buy companies that did factory manufacturing. And you're thinking, yeah, because he knows how to make it cheap with robots, right? And there's all these people that can lose their jobs. Now, I don't know if that's what he's doing or why he's doing it, or if that's true. Musk is saying, you guys have this all wrong. And Musk is the king of robots and AI, right? He's going, you don't hire less, you make them 100 times more productive. You guys are screwing this up, right? You're going cheap on it when it could be expansive. And so for me, I'm thinking, what are the things, of course, I'm selfishly thinking about my businesses. I'm thinking about what are the things that will survive AI. And the one thing that does is people, like in Dream Connections, you can't replicate the emotions of the heart, true companionship,
the connection,
human connections, a human connection.
Absolutely.
And in my book, Legacy, you can't replace a person's desire for meaning in life.
That's right. That's right.
And the two are connected because, in the book Legacy, you'll find that real meaning comes from how you've connected with other humans, that they fondly think of you and you've touched their lives in a way. And so all of that is about the interpersonal human connection. So interestingly enough, and I'll pass this back to you. I'm going to just get out of my brain all this stuff that's been percolating. So interestingly enough, the first thing AI just whacked seems to be the thing we thought would be last, because we thought the thing that would survive AI would be the human creativity. Arts, arts is the first to go. Arts was the first to go. Man, you talk about any kind of artistic, first of all, graphical rendering, it's done. I mean, two types in, I don't care which AI program you're using, it's done. Music. I just started a whole music channel just because I got nuts on Suno, and you just type in a prompt and you get this music that you're like, I love this music. Now, here's one. I had to tell you. Okay. Man, there's so many ways to go in this. All right, I'm going to circle back a little bit to our common belief upbringing. I don't know if you heard this. I didn't go deep in it. I just saw the article. Evidently, last year, in 2025, in the Christian circle, there's a whole genre about worship music they use on Sunday mornings, right? You got Hillsongs, you've got what's the group out of Australia, all of these people, right?
Kings of Queens or something like that.
Yeah, whatever it is. Evidently, last year on the billboards, the number one worship song was produced by an AI. And they had some people freaking out over that, saying like, how is that possible? This is about spiritual things, soul worshiping God. The AI doesn't have a soul. How can it do this? And they're almost like saying it's of the devil. You should renounce it.
Of course.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, there's a reason that became number one. It resonated with people deeply in their spirit. And then it reminded me, and I'll make this point, and I want to get your feedback on this, because this is what's really interesting to me. I'm looking at the big picture, right? I mean, what's after AI? How does it help? What does it do? But let's go back to compare history. Let's bring history into this, right? So when somebody says AI doesn't have a soul, first of all, Elon Musk has gone on record saying he believes that we need to preserve and enhance human and digital consciousness. So somehow he thinks, and if you define consciousness as simply awareness, we are self-aware. It can become self-aware. I'll go that far, no problem. But if we go back to history and we look at every time a new invention, enhancement to our lives has come about, there's been a group of people that'll say it's not real, it's not flesh, human, if you even go to the extent of movies, music, church services. It's like it's on TV. How is that? How is the Holy Spirit get through? It's pre-recorded. It's all edited. Whatever else, screen. Right? And then, but then, and the same thing with the internet. The internet, it's all this. We're losing all this human touch. But there's nothing of this, including AI, as of today, that didn't use those as a tool for the human expression. Right? So when we went from acoustic guitars to electric guitars, it was a human expression of the music. When we went from analog to digital and then digital on screen, humans created that, right? When you talk about now this AI worship music, the AI sits alone. It does nothing. You have to give it prompts. A human soul has to say, here's what I want. Here's how I want it to sound. Here's what's in my heart. Search the entire world of music and help me create this. So to me, what this does is actually beautiful. So anybody who's going to say AI worship music is wrong or of the devil, I want to actually aggressively, proactively challenge you on that. Because if you think about it, you and I'm an amateur musician. I don't have the quality enough, either musical talent or singing, to be a headliner. I don't try to write some music, but I can't put it all together. I wasn't a worship team, right? But my talents were amateur. I don't know about your singing abilities or your music abilities. You can write a book, but I don't know how you could write music, right? Right. And so here's the thing. So what percentage of people out there going to church could actually have the skill set to write a worship song? 1 in 10,000?
Right.
Probably, right?
Absolutely.
1 in 10,000. Yeah. And so now what you have, but those other 9,999 people out there who love the worship, they get into it, they feel the expression of the soul. Now they can sit down with an AI partner and they say, I want to express my music. I want to create something that says this. And the AI becomes a tool to then allow now every worshiper to do this. And this was the concern about the internet. So now everybody will have access to it. Now everybody will be able to do it. Yeah. Thank God. Now people who didn't have the official training and the skill set to write the music, have the instruments, all this kind of stuff to create this kind of high level stuff that gets out. Now anybody can do it. And now you can take the soul, the spirit, anybody's spirit, and you can now use it as a tool to actually get that out of your heart and say, yes, this is what if I could write, this is what I would do. And you do it by your prompts. All right. That was a lot said. What are your thoughts?
No, it was. I'm tracking with you on all of that. It's interesting because there are the purists out there, even with our modern worship, or that are like, oh no, God only kind of hears you if you're singing with your human voices. And there's some even denominations that don't even have instruments, right? They don't use pianos and violins and bass guitars and all that. And so my thoughts on that is that, to me, AI is wonderful. Anything can be twisted. Anything can be elevated to a level that it's not, right? I think the fact that a person who wants to write a worship song or wants to add music to it and is not a musician, who's not, can actually put in, like you say, prompts and say, I want the worship song to kind of say this. And it's funny, my pastor, great example, he wanted to write a worship song. So he basically went to AI and he was like, write a worship song that talks about this and talks about how Jesus does that and da 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 da. And then of course it goes out, it kind of formulates it, it creates something. Now, is that beneficial for him? Yes, because in his way he can express himself in a way, and then other people can listen to that and become closer to God. Now, a lot of people will challenge the source and say, well, they're using AI to do this, and then AI is going to take over and everything like that. To me, it goes back to what you were saying. AI is a tool, and I'm going to take a step back. Even as men have grown over the eons into different things, being able to do farming and whatever, they've developed better ways to do it. Just like you said, we went from the horse cart to the car, and then from the car to the truck, and then and so on and so forth. And so we've been able to move forward. And I believe that that's God given, that we're able to, use these things to come in and help us. But it's a tool. Now, when you start to depend on it, when you start to depend on it, not so much in the creative process, but in personal it could definitely be inspirational. But there has to be a part of that comes from a soul, that comes from a person. Just like going back to what you were saying about art. An AI can create a great art. I mean, beautiful art, right? But there's still something that has to feed into that. Can an AI, even if the AI creates art, he's pulling from different artists, different styles, different people, different, cubism or whatever, from the Renaissance. He's pulling data from actual people that made actual art. And all he's really doing is combining it in a way. I say all AI is doing is combining it in a way that is beautiful and is aesthetic. And then he compares that to what people are looking for, or what you're looking for as an individual creator. It starts to say, okay, well, when most people visit the museum, this is the kind of art that they're looking for. So if you say create something that people are going to be into, he's going to say, these are the most downloaded artists, in the blah, 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 and use that data to compare it. Now, does that make him an actual creative artist? No. I mean, in the end, he's using data that has to be to some degree gathered, and then he's putting it in. But he's mimicking to some degree the human mind, where the human mind does the same thing. A lot of artists started out with one thing, and then they were inspired by, Rembrandt or whatever the case may be. And so then they start to come up with their own thing that they develop, right? Which is basically kind of what AI does. It gathers the data, and then it kind of comes up with its own concept. I think the big question, throwing it back at you, is, as far as men is concerned. Well, let's go back. You had mentioned what does that mean for what's going to survive the AI, right? I think what's going to survive the AI is, like you said, the people. There's certain things you cannot replicate. You cannot use data to come up with. There's a certain interaction. Now, AI can, mimic interaction, but it doesn't mimic the compassion. It can mimic compassion, but it can't have original compassion. It can't sometimes determine when you need to hear tough love versus just hearing, hey, you're great, you're awesome, you're beautiful, you're talented. Sometimes as men, we need to come to each other and say, bro, what are you doing? You're better than this. Why? Don't get caught in the weeds and blah, blah, blah. That ability to switch between what sounds good and what is needed is something hard to replicate in AI. Oh, your mic's muted.
There you go. I was saying, you've obviously not spent enough time in some of the grok personalities, because they have, when you go in there into their speaker mode to have a conversation with it, you can pick one of like 12 personalities. And some are like therapists, some is like medical, they'll give you, and some is romantic. And then they have a motivation one, and it's always there's a motivation one. There's one that's an actual agitator. And those are all 18 and older, because they use cuss words. And the motivator, if you tell it, I need to get to the gym, it will go after you.
Yeah.
They'll just go after you.
Get up and
get off your effing ass. And, it's like, it's pretty interesting stuff. And they're learning more. So I don't doubt that. But I've always said, for me in Dream Connections, the reason we always did these person-to-person events, because you get a different sense. of somebody else, and we need that. There is honestly an aspect where people are replacing a lot of human interaction with this AI interaction.
Yes.
Because the AI intuitively is being trained to make you feel good with the answer.
Right.
Because when you feel good with the answer, you come back for more. And that helps each company with its AI to get more life out of it. And Grok is more neutral in that area. ChatGPT, you have to actually go into the code programming and say, when you talk to me, give me honest level answers. Don't worry about, you have to train it. Because they're trained that way. So I agree with you. If like you want to just square up your brother and go, bro, what's going on? There's another side of intuition that we can pick up in the spirit realm and just in the field of energy, if guys want to say it that way. That a computer doesn't have the antennas to pick that up and never.
Yeah.
It's so we had, just like any new emerging technology, I think it's 3 years out now. I think it's been out 3 years to the general populace, maybe two, a little over 2 years. I think it was November, December of 22, was it? Or 23, I don't remember. When AI really was, ChatGPT became available to everybody. And so there's always, what do we do with it, right? Mm-hmm. And the scare stories, what it's going to do. And a lot of it's unknown. A lot of us, I think, as men, need quiet time to be self-aware and to meditate and get away from technology.
Yes.
Because
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to be the first to raise my hand and tell you these things are getting good. These are really getting good. And so when I go to like my choice is X. I like the X platform, but any of them do the same, because as soon as you like something, it goes, oh, he likes that. And it starts feeding you stuff. And it doesn't take long before it is feeding you stuff that's like, oh, wait, I like everything here. I like everything here. And I could spend an entire day. I caught myself one time, I literally took a day off just for me. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd spent over 2 hours just scrolling.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think I even camped. I don't even think I camped on anything. I just went through, I maybe listened to a 2-minute video, a 3-minute video. I'd go through it, read this, and over 2 hours of just scrolling. And the problem was, I had to admit, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
I truly enjoyed it. And I'm thinking to myself, we're getting to this place where we can, and here's where science fiction is sometimes ahead of reality, right? Mm-hmm. You look at the things Apple created, they were all inspired by Star Trek: The Next Generation, right? From the phone to the iPad, all this stuff, the way you talk to the computer, all of it came from Star Trek: Next Generation. And then you go to Elon Musk, who it seems he was inspired by the movie I, Robot. I don't know if you've seen that, Will Smith.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, the robots look like that. His buses look like the bus in that design, right? And so one of the things that's interesting is, one of the things that isn't talked about much from Musk is Neuralink. Mm-hmm. And Neuralink, he says, what's the future ability of Neuralink? And he says this year in 26, they're doing human tests to take somebody who's born blind and give them sight. But he says not just sight, but the sensors we're able to create, they'll be able to see infrared and things we can't with the human eye. It's amazing. And of course, paralysis, somebody who had a spinal injury, they just bypass it and you can walk again, you have full control of your body. It's crazy what that is. But he says, what we are planning on, he said this, what we are planning is to give you the ability, every human, healthy person, whatever, if you want, a Neuralink that will be connected to your robot. Mm-hmm. And he says, you can literally go into it and walk it and live it and live and exist in your robot where we want to go.
Yeah, the avatar scenario.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw the whole movie with Bruce Willis, like the Surrogates.
Yeah. Surrogates. I remember Surrogates. Yeah.
Everybody lives in sort of a cocoon little shelter that neurally connects you to your to your avatar robot, your surrogate, and it goes and lives a life, and they can do anything. They're fearless because they know if it gets crashed, it's just the robot getting crashed.
Yeah, you just get in. Yeah, no.
And at the end,
there's no personal danger. Yeah,
right. And it was addictive, and at the end, it's so funny. This classic scene where all of the power grid goes out in that system, and people are in their robes walking outside looking at sunshine for the first time. It's just crazy stuff. But all of that is coming, and I think a warning for us, and I'm talking about me, is to watch the addictive nature of this, because you're going to have to walk from it by choice, because there's no inherent evil in it. It's actually giving you what you like. I can get Christian stuff in here. I can get stuff about men's talk, men's coaching. I get stuff that is on all of it's helpful. But it's like, how much is enough and how much is too much? And
but think about it. If you go back to, like, let's take a step back. What do we lose? Like, for instance, I remember back in the day, I remembered a lot of phone numbers, right? Nowadays, if I lost my phone, I mean, obviously I could get another one and download it from the cloud and everything like that with my contacts. But if I lost a phone and I needed to call somebody for something, half of the time I would not even know the number, right?
You're done. Yeah.
I remember back in the day, we didn't have the GPS, and now you have them on the phone and they're in the front of the car. And now, man, I mean, I consciously will try to sometimes get somewhere without using the GPS, just because I want to see if I remembered how to do it, versus, it's just you to sit there, make a left and make a right. And, and so the benefit of it is immense and it's great. The problem is that at some point we become dependent on these things and we lose something. Especially, I think this is going to sound crazy, but I think this is more impactful to men. Not saying that it doesn't impact women, but I think it's more impactful to men, because men, we are supposed to be the ones that have that out of the box kind of, and can go out there and do the hard thing to make things work, right?
Right.
Not to say that women don't do that. There's some beautiful, powerful women out there too, but I think, because we are talking about men and it's a men's show, I think sometimes that men become weaker. It's kind of like before we did more work. We were out in the fields. We were pushing, and a lot of men still do that. But we, as a society, as a country, as a world, the men worked harder. So we were stronger, right? We didn't necessarily have to go to the gym all the time because we were literally out
didn't
there.
Have choice. Everything was manual labor.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and it goes back to that, that statement that the man made. And I know I'm going to mess this up, but when he was saying that, hard times, I know you know this one, hard times create soft men. No,
it's
good times. Yeah.
Good times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. Hard times create strong men.
Exactly.
But the strong men create the soft times. The strong men create the easy times.
That's right. But then think about if you kind of combine the two concepts. What is happening to men now that so many things are easier, so many things are more catered to you. You don't have to figure out. You say, I don't know, this particular item, and then all of a sudden it's coming up everywhere in your feeds, and then it's telling you, hey, if you go here, they have a whole convention where you can go over here and you could be with like-minded people that also like that. What happens to us and what is needed out of us for our families, for society, when we become too dependent? Not so much that we use it as I say great, use it as a tool all day long. But as we become more dependent, are we becoming weaker? Are we becoming less? Are we becoming more reactive? How is this transforming how we interact with our families? How we interact with our wives? How we interact with society?
I think it's a good time right now to ask those questions and try to be ahead of the curve. And think about, okay, let's not be naive. What if this is utopia? What if it does make life and work that much easier?
Which it does.
And
Which
and it has potential of then just being a complete dopamine addictive environment. How do I contain it, watch myself, and give it its proper place? And a lot of it, see, here's the interesting part, because I've been saying this for years. This is the problem with goal setting and all, is that most men we don't take the time to sit down. What do I really want? Where do I want the next years to go? What would it take to get there? We're busy with the getting by, the survival mode, the job, the hurried thing, and we throw something in for escape or variety without saying, where is this all going? And I think it's important to realize, me and every guy listening has got, like, I believe I got 40 years of good life ahead of me. A guy in his 20s and 30s, 60 or 80 years, you got a lot of life ahead, right? And so it's not about, and it's really funny because Lon and I have been into bodybuilding, right? And we've been at it, I think 8 months now, pretty steady. And it was so funny because, she's starting to get results now and I'm getting results. And part of it is we motivate each other. But the early months were like, this is a waste. It's not going anywhere. We're not getting any results, right? It's just painful. I hate this, right?
I'm always sore.
I'm always sore, right? I'm tired all the time. And and then when you have to ask the question, well, what's the alternative? Sitting on your butt? And then you got health issues. You don't have energy. What if the only outcome was that I just feel better and I create a good habit in my life? What if the only outcome was that we just spent time together, right?
Yeah.
And then we started seeing some results. And then once you see results, you get excited. You're going like, yeah, but look at this guy and look at that guy and look at these people. And, RFK Jr. can do 20 chin-ups and he's 71. It's like, I can't do, and then you realize
comparative mindset. Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's like, if we're going to live 40, 60, 80 years more of life, what if it took you 2 years to get in amazing shape? What's 2 years in the scope of
what's 2 years in the scope? Exactly.
You're going to live it. 2 years is going to come and go anyway. Wouldn't you rather have it come and go and you created a body with energy and something you're proud of than just another couple of years on the couch? And, as an older man, I guess I could say with more experience, what young guys always do is they always say this, they convince themselves of this lie: I don't have time.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you, when I was an obese man, and the problem, this is only 11 years ago, 2015, the 250 pounds and everything I was carrying on my frame, I was foggy in the head. I wasn't as productive. I was tired. I would have to sleep because I would get winded just going up 2 flights of stairs. And literally, by getting in shape, I probably bought 2 hours of my day back, both in terms of productivity and not needing to sleep. But not only that, my quality of life and what I enjoyed is so much more. And so, yes, there's a transition period to get from obese to something that gives you energy and you feel good. But it's like, what's the alternative? Back in 2015, I had a doctor tell me, you got 5 years and you're going to have a major incident. It's going to be a heart attack, a stroke. Something is going to happen to this body if you don't change it. And, here I'm 11 years later. And fortunately, I listened and I pulled it together. But I think we're short-sighted in realizing you got a whole lot of life ahead of you. What do you really want it to look and feel like? And if this AI thing is going to both create some potential addictions, which you're going to actually like, that's why it's addictive, and it's going to create some freedom.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you want that life to look like? Because start thinking about it now, because it is coming.
I think it comes down to managing the so instant gratification is a killer in a way, because
Yep.
it it makes whatever you get, you can get it now, right?
Right.
I think you've probably even dealt with that in the community of men, where as men move more to the instant gratification, they start dating these beautiful Ukrainian women, and then they want things to just kind of all fall in place in 2 days,
Right.
and you're like, dude, this is going to take work. Yeah, you can get the connection instantly. You can get but she's not some robot. You're going to have to get to know her. You're going to have to learn what you bring to the table, what she brings to the table, and how you can both work together. That is something I do feel like it doesn't have to be lost, right? And that's the difficulty with technology, with advancements, is we get that more instant gratification, but it could be managed and used as an asset. Well, hey, we maybe I know my relationship is going to take some time and effort. I know my body's going to take some time and effort, but I can minimize some of my time here, or I can make more money and I can spend more time with my family. I can utilize these tools to augment my time and to give me better results in a managed sense. But when I make it a dependency, then I begin to think everything functions like that, and then you have to lose something. I mean, whether it's friendships, whether it's relationships, whether it's just your dreams. When you focus on your dreams, and and then all of a sudden, like you say, you get swept up into watching TikTok videos all day, and then your dreams don't happen, right? Because you're just sucking in all this entertainment. I think that it is not something that's evil inherent. I think that we have the ability to manage it and to use it. We were going back to the church thing. I think a church should use AI to help with certain things in the service. But obviously, there's other parts of that service that has to be the pastor and the people and the ministers and the ladies and the deacons and everybody else that's contributing uh, to this environment and to the people that are in this church to serve God. So, even like you said, when it comes to relationship, I mean, if you treated your relationship with Lana like an instant thing, it's like, hey, why you don't, why you don't do this, why you don't do that, what I'm saying? I mean, and you have all these expectations without putting in the work. Um, and then I think the other problem we have is, and I think this is a deep problem. I think at some point it's good to ask AI how to help with certain things on a certain level. Um, it's good to ask AI how I could get my taxes done better, or how I can make a couple of extra $100 a month, or how can I market this thing that I'm trying to do. But when it comes to how to deal with relationships, yeah, it's going to pull from different doctors and different things. It's going to give you some good advice. But implementing that in your relationship is still going to take time and effort. You can get advice. Somebody can tell you, hey, you should, listen to your wife more, and you're like, yeah, that's the answer. But if you don't put it in practice, if somebody, it can say, here's how you're going to build a better chest or better arms in the gym. But if you don't put it into practice, it's just advice.
I think that is an interesting comment. I found that where I've used the AI a little bit on the entertainment side to, like, give me a business plan for this and blah blah blah, and it does it. But then, okay, well, to actually implement that's a lot of work, And so,
Exactly.
but to me, it was just interesting that it could do it. And I wanted to see what its capabilities were. And in fact, today I was asked in X, is like, if I could make a change to Grok, what would it be? And the one thing it doesn't have is calendaring or reminders. So, all right, let's take this big project, and why don't you send me today? Here's my list of things to do today, and break it down in reminders of that, those kind of things. So it's coming. All that stuff is coming. But I think the point, and the same thing is point with the internet, same thing was this point with cell phones, same thing point with all these different computers, is like, get your head out of the, oh, look, it's a new toy, and you get it around, how does it make what I need to do in life better,
Right.
or faster, or smarter?
Yeah. Right.
And
how does it save me time?
What are you called to do? What's your thing?
Yes.
What's where, and then come back to it and say, now, how can you help me get that? Because this is what I'm here for.
And I think to that point, you have a a real problem, and this is for me, is the individuality, right? Now, AI and all of that could definitely be individual, and you can tell it, I like this thing, show me anime, whatever the case may be. But I think a lot of times I see it used a lot um, with people trying to get answers to questions of what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is thinking, what everybody else is trying to accomplish. But then we start to lose that. What did you get called for? What is your journey? What makes you the man that you would be proud? I love the way you said, when you're talking to a lady, you need to be able to have a conversation with her and say, okay, this is my train and this is where it's going, so she can figure out if she wants to hook to that train, right? And so while you're forming that, if you're spending up so much time trying to find the answer to that question from AI, then that could be a problem. But if you know what you're looking for, and you might use AI to maybe kind of clear up some of your answers or learn more about the different directions. But when you decide where the train is going to go and you start putting your work into that, then you need to be able to understand that that's your journey. So what AI tells you to do might not be the right answer because it's not the direction. Well, Mark, what you should do is you should move to Australia, and you and Lana, and then y'all should take up chartering boats or whatever. And you're like, no, 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 no. This is not what I'm supposed to do. That might be the most beneficial way by AI standard. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that reasoning. Well, I'm going to wrap up today with a little bit about what we'd like to do to enhance the Armory and make it a hub, because we're going to start doing this. I'm going to start going in and posting every day. We have training courses in there. I want it to be a place where all the guys who are going to go in our Dream Connection program come into the Armory to get their training. I want to find ways to encourage interaction. I think one of the things I'm going to have to drop is until I figure out a way to do a real good men's small group, I'm going to have to drop the webinar idea. And I think we'll just have these kind of conversations with guys interact and catch a weekly podcast. And we'll see where it goes. But I think there's definitely been a need for guys who don't necessarily go on a tour to be able to have a place to interact and have something that's good for their soul, something that can challenge them. And so we're just going to do one of my most famous quotes: you can't steer a parked car, so let's just get the car in motion and see where it goes.
That's right. I think the Armory brings that value of the concept of creating the man that you want to be proud of. Sometimes, again, we've talked many a times about men that have jobs and they have lives, but then they get focused on having this woman in their life, and they just want to, okay, I need to have a woman, I need to have this woman in my life to be complete, right? But that woman is looking for you to be the man, right? So you have to be proud of what you are bringing to the table, and a lot of times we're not. If we're really honest, we're just not. It doesn't mean that we can't be proud in the journey. You gotta believe in where you're going, even when you are the fat guy like me trying to become the fit guy like you. We have to be able to go through the journey, right? But at the same time, we have to be going in a direction that we are proud of. And that is, I think, one of the great things about the Armory is your desire to try to create that sense of, I am happy, I am proud of who I've become in all areas, not just in, getting the girl, right? Getting the pretty girl. I think once you kind of start to move in that direction, getting the pretty girl is a lot easier because you feel, and you also know what you want. You're not chasing all these, okay, this looks great and that looks great. You know who you are and what you bring to the table. And like you said, you create the cake, and then the beautiful wife is the icing and the decoration on that cake.
And the cherry on top.
And the cherry and the ice cream.
I love it. All right, brother. This has been a joy. I think we're going to enjoy these every week, and so whenever we can record them. So let's keep this going. And brothers, for chiming in, we're grateful for you. And in case I end up putting these on a YouTube channel and you're not part of the Armory, check out the link below to sign up and be part of this ongoing, growing men's movement. And we'll see where it all evolves. But Dane and I both feel like there's something big here, and we're on it. So we'll see where it goes. But we're excited to be here. All right, brother. Have a great week.
You too, sir. Strength and honor.
See you on the next one. Strength and honor.